Hello and welcome back. I am so glad you decided to click on this video. So today I am going to be talking about March book releases that I am so excited about. I had a really hard time narrowing down this list to 8 books because I talk a lot, as you know, and I can only put 8 in a video before it's too long. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started, but I have to say there are plenty of other books out there that I wanted to include on this. So please watch other people's videos as well because there's a lot of good stuff coming in March. So the first book that I'm really excited about is Like It Never Happened by Jeff Hoffman, and this comes out on March 5th. This is an author I have read from before. I read his debut called Other People's Children, and I absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to read this. It's actually probably what I'm going to read next after I finish the book that I'm currently reading, which has 10% left. So this one is one I'm really excited about. This follows friends who 30 years ago did something horrible. We don't know just from the synopsis, but something bad. They decided as a group they were going to keep it hidden, but at the same time it kind of ruined their friendship. Now, many years later, one of them has become a heroin addict and has died after crashing his motorcycle into something. The other friends find themselves together at the funeral. Well, it seems as though the wife of the one that died knew the secret. She was told, and she has decided to basically get revenge on these other guys who indirectly drove her husband to become a heroin addict, and it goes from there, I guess. But I mean, I love revenge stories. I love kind of stories where nobody is necessarily the good or bad guy. I don't know, I just think this sounds awesome and I cannot wait for it. The next book is one I've actually already read, and that is Bye Baby by Carola Lovering. This also comes out on March 5th. I loved this. I did not love it quite as much as this author's previous book that was called Can't Look Away, but I really had a good time with this. On a brisk fall night in a New York apartment, 35-year-old Billy West hears terrified screams. It's her lifelong best friend, Cassie Barnwell, one floor above, and she's just realized her infant daughter has gone missing. Billy is shaken as she looks down into her own arms to see the baby, remembering with a jolt of fear that she is responsible for the kidnapping that has instantly shattered Cassie's world. There's more to the synopsis, but I feel like I can kind of go from there. So these two girls were best friends growing up, but I feel like it was maybe high school. They kind of started to grow apart. Cassie was kind of more popular. Billy was a little more of a home friend, if you remember that whole thing. So in adulthood, they've drifted apart, but they still see each other relatively frequently. Cassie has kind of become an influencer, and Billy is childless, single, and kind of lost. But Billy knows a secret of Cassie's, and she's basically desperate to keep Cassie in her life. So we love a toxic female friendship. We love lifelong friends drifting apart. Yes, and it starts with a bang because the book opens with Billy freaking out because she basically just kidnapped her friend's kid, and we work backwards. So I love that kind of setup where something totally crazy happens and then you kind of have to figure out how did we get to this point. So if you like those kind of books too, I think you'll really like this. Next is a book that I knew absolutely nothing about until I started researching for this video, and that is The Extinction of Irena Ray by Jennifer Croft. Again, this comes out on March 5th. 8 translators arrive at a house in a primeval Polish forest on the border of Belarus. It belongs to the world-renowned author Irena Ray, and they are there to translate her magnum opus, Grey Eminence. But within days of their arrival, Irena disappears without a trace. The translators, who hail from 8 different countries but share the same reverence for their beloved author, begin to investigate where she may have gone while proceeding with the work on her masterpiece. They explore this ancient wooded refuge with its intoxicating slime molds and lichens and study her exotic belongings and layered text for clues. But doing so reveals secrets and deceptions of Irena Ray's that they are utterly unprepared for. Forced to face their differences as they grow increasingly paranoid in this fever dream of isolation and obsession, soon the translators are tangled up in a web of rivalries and desire, threatening not only their work, but the fate of their beloved author herself. Love books about books. This just sounds like nothing I've ever read before. I mean, I've never read anything about translators, which is cool. I don't know. This just sounds super unique and a plot. It sounds like a thriller. I don't know if it's technically classified as a thriller, but thrillers can be so formulaic and kind of all, kind of similar plots. There's like a few different like baseline prototypes and they all kind of just go out of there. But this sounds really different and I am really looking forward to reading this. Next on March 12th, we have Such a Lovely Family by Aggie Bloom Thompson. Another one that I hadn't really heard of, but now I'm really looking forward to. So this is about a family named the Calhouns who live in Washington, D.C., and they host an annual party to celebrate the cherry blossoms every year. It's a husband and a wife and then 3 adult children, and in the middle of their big party that they have every year, there is a murder. This is the kind of family that's just like picture perfect, just like totally would never seem like the kind of family that would have these like dark secrets, except for like they would totally be that family. But it's kind of follows the parents and how they like emotionally manipulate their kids, and especially to do with money. One of these adult children is kind of like the black sheep, so we'll see how that goes. The other is a new father who's just like focused only on his new baby. And we have another one who is an Instagram influencer and is just in denial about a big secret about her husband. So this, yes, seems very much like a thriller, but I also feel like we're going to get a lot of family drama in there, which, hi, sign me up. I think this is going to be good. I feel like, I've read maybe books similar, but I feel like this is definitely more about the family. I feel like I've read maybe books similar where it's like a younger family. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this will be good. The next book is on March 19th, and that is The Princess of Las Vegas by Chris Bajalian. So this is an author that I've never read a book by before. He wrote The Flight Attendant, which turned into a series. I watched some of it. I mean, obviously I nitpicked it to death because I am a flight attendant, so I had lots of thoughts and feelings. But overall, I mean, I think if maybe you knew a little bit less about the industry, you would like that one a little bit more. But again, I didn't read the book, so maybe the book's brilliant and way better. But this sounds really cool. So this is about a woman named Chrissy who is a Princess Diana impersonator at the Buckingham Palace Casino in Las Vegas, and she kind of just is coasting through life. She sits by the pool drinking and all day in the sun. At night she does a Princess Diana show, but she's also addicted to Adderall and Valium. She's dating a senator who has decided to go back to his wife, but she's generally happy until her sister shows up in town, newly married and with a teenage daughter. And then the owner of the casino is brutally murdered and stuff happens. So I mean, I just think that's a really cool premise. Just generally the idea of like an impersonator in Vegas just doing their thing, and like, I don't know. I'm a theater kid. I danced my whole life. So anything involving like showbiz in any kind really is fun for me to read about. So this should be cool. And I've heard good things about this author, so we'll see. Another one on March 19th is The Ex Evangelicals by Sarah McCannon. This sounds really good to me. This is a subject that I have recently found myself fascinated with, and that is Christian evangelicalism. So this is about a woman who was raised evangelical, and as an adult, she kind of figured out her own way. And so I just have found this like a very interesting topic as of late. I've watched a lot of YouTubers kind of speaking on this, and just how harmful like a lot of the ideas they preach can be. I mean, you can be a Christian and still not be like this. They are not one and the same. So I just have been finding this really a fascinating topic. So I am really excited to read this. So this woman was, taught all these things. She really did believe in God and Jesus, but as she got older, she couldn't really reconcile what she had been taught with what she felt her values were once she saw more of the world and like what it was really like out there. So I just think this is going to be really, really cool to kind of get an insider perspective, especially for me who, like I said, I have been really fascinated by this topic lately. March 19th, yet again, we have Expiration Dates by Rebecca Surley. I've never read anything by this author, but I know that she is very well loved by a lot of people. She wrote a book called In 5 Years and another one called One Italian Summer. I believe that's the name of it. And, I've just heard that she writes kind of what I like, which is romance adjacent. not a pure romance, but there's a romantic element, but it sort of takes a back seat to like the main character's journey, more or less. So this says, Daphne Bell believes the universe has a plan for her. Every time she meets a new man, she receives a slip of paper with his name and a number on it, the exact amount of time they will be together. The papers told her she'd spend 3 days with Martin in Paris, 5 weeks with Noah in San Francisco, and 3 months with Hugo, her ex-boyfriend turned best friend. Daphne has been receiving the numbered papers for over 20 years, always wondering when there might be one without an expiration. Finally, the night of a blind date at her favorite Los Angeles restaurant, there's only a name, Jake. But as Jake and Daphne's story unfolds, Daphne finds herself doubting the paper's prediction and wrestling with what it means to be both committed and truthful. Because Daphne knows things Jake doesn't, information that, if he found out, would break his heart. So I don't really know what that last kind of paragraph there means so much. I mean, it sounds like a fun idea. There's a lot of things I would need explained, I think, to like really be able to get into this, because obviously that's not a thing that happens. Like, where do these pieces of paper come from, and like who is writing them, whatever. So I mean, I would need that to be explained, or at least acknowledged that that's weird. I don't know why that's a thing that like always gets to me and annoys me, but anyways, it sounds like it could be cute, especially if you are a romance reader or just like me, romance adjacent reader. So this next one sounds so fun. I am like pre-ordering it for sure. And that is How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. And this comes out on March 26th. This is about a woman who in 1965 was a teenager, and she goes to see a fortune teller, and the fortune teller tells her that she will be murdered one day. So she basically spends her entire life trying to figure out who's going to murder her and what's going to happen. And, you know, of course, everybody thinks she's crazy because, like, that's not really a thing. And Frances has really spent her entire life, like, digging dirt up on everyone she meets because, like, what if they happen to be the one that kills her? She wants to be, like, on top of things, help solve the murder. 60 years later, she is murdered just like she always said she would be. And so we flash forward into the present day when her niece Annie is summoned to her home, her wealthy and reclusive great Aunt Frances, but by the time she gets there, Aunt Frances is dead. Now Annie is like, okay, we're gonna figure this out, who murdered her. But Frances has dirt on like everybody in town and has like lists of motives for everyone that she's come across basically. So she's got a lot of information to go through to try to solve this murder. So, I mean, and you know, of course, as she gets closer to finding who it was, she starts to be in danger herself. So, I just think this sounds so fun. Definitely not like a thriller. It just sounds like a fun mystery. Sounds a little funny, like there's some, I don't know, humor to it. And yeah, I just think it sounds really, really good. And lastly, on March 26th, we have A Great Country by Shilpi Somaya Goda. So this is another one that I only found when I was looking for this video, and I can't believe I haven't heard of this because this sounds so good and exactly the type of book that I like. So it says, Pacific Hills, California, gated communities, ocean views, well-tended lawns, serene pools, and now the home of the Shaw family. For the Shaw parents who came to America 20 years earlier with little more than an education and their new marriage, this move represents the culmination of years of hard work and dreaming. For their children, born and raised in America, success is not so simple. For the most part, these differences among the 5 members of the Shaw family are minor irritants, arguments between parents and children, older and younger siblings. But one Saturday night, the 12-year-old son is arrested. The fallout from the event will shake each family member's perception of themselves as individuals, as community members, as Americans, and will lead each to consider, how do we define success? At what cost comes ambition? And what is our role and responsibility in the cultural mosaic of modern America? So this kind of reminds me of Little Fires Everywhere in just the sense of like kind of a social commentary on what makes one successful. And so I really, if you watched my last month's wrap up, like I had read Little Fires Everywhere years ago and really didn't like it. And I decided to reread it, and I really liked it the second time. So this sounds like it'll be right up my alley. Very much like a family drama type book, which is like probably one of my favorite things to read. So yes, this is one I will definitely be purchasing. I actually might see if I can get it from the library, but if the list is too long, I might just go ahead and buy it. So those are 8 of the books coming out in March that I am really excited to read and really looking forward to. If there's any that I've missed, please leave them in the comments because I'm always, on the lookout for new books to get into. So I really appreciate you watching this video. If you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoy my content, it would really mean a lot to me if you would. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Again, subscribe if you haven't and you enjoyed this video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!